Imagine one day you watch a TV, open up your social media feed, and you see and hear the news the aliens have made themselves known and be seen in public for the first time in live television. Unadulterated coverage of them being seen standing beside the world's government leaders at a UN convention. You might think that seems to be unreal, but to tell you the truth, that possibility might just come to reality in a not too distant future. Hi everyone, this is Starseed Jutaro. Today is May 13, 2026. Today, let's dive in and explore what are the implications of a major ET disclosure to the current world and religious systems we have now, specifically Christianity. If you are not living under a rock, then you would have probably heard the news that the US has started to disclose their secret UAP files to the public as instructed by President Donald Trump. For some, this is just trivial news, but for some of us, this is the beginning of something major. If you haven't watched my previous videos about the 3 possible timelines, what are the events of each timeline entails, you can watch it through the link below. So in connection with that video, it seems that humanity is going through the second major timeline, or that's how it seems to be in my perspective or in my view. So let's fast forward and look into the future on how a major ET disclosure affects our current system of religion. Religion is one of the pillars of human civilization and society. It keeps the population in check and controlled and organized. Once the major ET disclosure happens, these systems of control will be shaken as new questions or questions that remained unanswered, questions that were dismissed by the religious leaders as blasphemous or heretical, suddenly arises or comes up again to the minds of the religious followers. The major ET disclosure will also bring about new information and knowledge on what really happened or how the history of planet Earth happened. While a small portion of the people already have started to discover for themselves the true history, most people are still asleep or choosing to stay asleep. People's faith will be shaken, people will be confused, people will feel betrayed. Betrayed by the people who taught and preach, betrayed by the system, betrayed by history. This is one of the main reasons why the government or the secret organizations has kept this information secret for so many decades. There will be a percentage of the population who will reject the ETs as demons or the devil to deceive humanity. Thus, they will try to fight it with whatever they can. They will protest, they will burn buildings, they will even kill people if they have to, as they see it as righteous. It's a righteous thing to do in the name of God. They will label it as the final battle of good and evil. The people who kill other people or beings will feel like they are participating in the Great Crusades, as what was done before during the medieval times. Killing them is not a sin if what you're killing is a follower or a spawn of the demon or Satan. To them, killing an infidel is not a sin. Thus, the most devout Christians can become extreme and perform acts like killing. People can be blinded by hatred, anger, and rage once their belief systems are shaken or destroyed. Their sense of reality, compassion, and rationality will be thrown out the window, for they are entirely focused on revenge of their loss or betrayal of their faith. As what the Bible or Jesus said, "Do not think that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword." Then there will be a percentage of the people who will be lost, not knowing or who or what to believe. These people will be led astray or be more susceptible to addictions of alcohol, drugs, or sex, as they try to distract themselves or try to bury the new information or knowledge that they just have heard, as they no longer know for sure if there really is a God out there watching out for their welfare. One would ask, isn't this already happening to the world? Yes, it is indeed happening, but a major ET disclosure would further increase the frequency and magnitude of this happening, at least for a time. Fortunately, this chaotic phase won't last long, as the ETs themselves have already planned on how to go about the process of making themselves known to the whole population of the Earth for a long time. In fact, they have been planning this for an age, and now the time has come for it to commence in a major way. One would ask, why now, and why would they hide for ages and reveal themselves now? Is because just like we have a night and a day, The universe, the galaxy, also follows, shall we say, a schedule. And now is just simply the time for a new age to come. The new age does not come suddenly. In fact, the process of bringing about the new age had already begun a few years back. The dawn of the new age began a few years ago, where only a glimmer of the new light was barely seen. And now, years pass, the light of the new age is becoming more and more stronger, like the sun that is starting to peer from the horizon. The answer to the second question, the ETs hide and rarely make themselves known, is for the same reason. The benevolent ETs that are disclosing themselves now are creatures or entities of the light. During the Dark Ages, or shall we say the time of night for humanity, it was the time for the malevolent ETs or beings' time to rule and manage Earth. During those times, humanity has also collectively decided to try and explore and live through that time of darkness and be as ignorant as a human can. But now that the appointed time for the light to shine has come, it is time for the dark ones to leave and the light ones to make themselves known publicly. When the Jews first heard about Jesus, they did not accept him as the Messiah. They rejected him and crucified him. They thought Jesus would become an earthly king and save them from their enemies. Before Christians were called Christians, the followers of Jesus the Christ was known as the followers of the way. When this major ET disclosure happens, this question will be asked on who Jesus was, or was he really God? The devout Christians now will not like the answer the ETs will be giving. They will label the ETs as the Antichrist, the great deceiver. The ETs, being a highly evolved beings with much intellect and psychic powers, will be able to perform miracles just like how Jesus did before. Thus, the people will quote the Bible about the end times, where false messiahs will arise and perform miracles. In this manner, the people who are deeply programmed by the systems of religion will reject the truth the ETs will be sharing. But the ETs already know and anticipated this to happen, and have made plans on how to carefully handle this with much care and compassion as they can. So, was Jesus really God? To answer it plainly, yes, he is God. But here's one truth that you might have missed. Jesus is God, but so are you. Jesus said this himself. Jesus was what some people would call an avatar, a highly evolved being who decided to incarnate in a low-evolved or low-vibrational world to try and show the light. And there were many avatars who decided to incarnate on Earth, not just Jesus. So, was Jesus an ET? Some people would say so, but Jesus was more than just an ET. When he incarnated on Earth, he brought with him the light as he was originally. Jesus lived on earth following the earthly rules of being human, which is the role of forgetting being a god. Jesus walked on the earth not alone, but he had many higher spirit guides who tried to guide and help him remember who he really was. And when he fully embraced and remembered, he then became God. I am with the Father, as what the Bible says. The book of Revelation tells the second coming of Jesus Christ during the end times. In those days, Jesus will come and everyone on earth will know. The Bible was written not meant to be always understood literally. Some were literally meant, but the prophecies were mostly to be understood in a symbolic or metaphorical way. When Jesus was teaching his disciples, he was teaching them the way on how to be saved. Christians will not like this, but Jesus taught wisdom and knowledge, and it was not the ways to be saved from hell, for there is no hell. God did not create hell, but through forgetting, manipulation, deception, and with a limited understanding, humanity has created a hell for themselves. The phrase, I am the way, the truth, and the life, was most probably skewed by the writers at the time, be it through complete ignorance or confusion, or by the intention to try and control the narrative and population. The original phrase was, I have taught the way, the truth, and the life. This knowledge or part is where the devout Christians will be infuriated by. What the ETs will be sharing will deal a great blow to the foundations of the Christian church, which meant that the whole meaning of salvation of sin was not as simple as just believing in Jesus. When you believe in Jesus, you are therefore saved from sin and from hell. The understanding and realization of the idea that there is no hell meant that there is no need for a belief in salvation. This idea is not new, and there are several accounts of people who came back to life after they died, said that Jesus or an angel told them when they were in heaven to tell the people living on earth that there is no hell. So, if there is no hell and no need for salvation, what did Jesus teach? What was his purpose? Jesus was one of the great avatars of the world who tried to show and ignite the path of remembering who you really are. A child of God and a part of God himself, incarnating as a human being, having a human experience. For most Christians who are deeply programmed, they will view this as blasphemy, and thus they will reject what the ETs will be saying to humanity. They will say that this knowledge challenges the authority of God. They will say that this knowledge is the original sin that Lucifer committed, to be equal or greater than God himself. But contrary to that belief, if God created human beings in his image and likeness, thus we are God's. We are a part of him. If we are him, how can we become greater than God? If we become greater, doesn't that make God become even greater, since we are also him? So what about the second coming the Bible talk about? The second coming is humanity realizing who they really are. A child of God, a member of the galactic society, a part of God learning and growing himself. Jesus tried to show the way, and by his acts and sacrifice it has now come to fruition. And thus the second coming of Christ, which means the divine love of God will come and embrace the planet through all its creation, walking and living within it. The answer is no. It will not be destroyed, but it will go through a transformation or a reformation. As the light of dawn shines more even brightly, the Holy Spirit, shall we say, will bring about new knowledge, as if by magic, that causes human beings to be able to discern which is truth and which is false. Powers causing humans to perform miracles just like Jesus once performed. After the major ET disclosure and contact happens, chaos and confusion will erupt within the Christian religious systems. But after some time, when the dust settles, wisdom and enlightenment will come to those who are open. Thus, Christianity will have a different meaning to its followers. For those that have their hearts and minds open, those who were not blindly following the doctrine and leaders will suddenly get this aha moment and thus understand more of what's life meaning is all about. For a time, the flock will be scattered, not because the shepherd was struck down, but because the shepherd was no longer seen as a shepherd, but as an inspiration, someone to look up to. The flock will realize that they don't need a shepherd to guide and always protect them. They will realize that they have now grown and old enough to live and walk through life, to learn and practice what it truly means to live without the training wheels on. Then the flock will once again gather, but this time it won't be because of studying the scriptures, for they know the scriptures were not pure and was altered for the purpose of control. It will not be because of one divine being, but it will be a celebration and gathering of the God beings who incarnated on earth, to share, to love one another as what was taught by Jesus to his disciples. The Christian followers will gather to embrace the true essence of a godly community, a true godly community where no one will see someone being above others, but as equal children of God, as gods in the making and growing. And by this time, humanity will no longer be mingling with humanity alone, but will also be with other ET beings, beings with different forms and appearances, and all will gather in the spirit of being a godly family. A gathering of God beings in the making. Thus, the heaven on earth prophecy will come to pass. Christ is love. Antichrist is anti-love. Anyone who does not love another is an antichrist. Anyone who judges, kills, harms, or steals from another is not love. Anyone who speaks ill to another is not love. Thus, an antichrist. The event of a major ET disclosure will not be smooth sailing. The transition from dark to light will incur collateral damage. Some might say it's unavoidable, but it will eventually lead to heaven on earth, a new golden age for humanity where light and love is shining brightly once again. After a few years, the Christian religion will be reformed. Systems and governments will be changed. Atheists will roam freely and live with humanity without fear of being killed or harmed. Ancient and hidden and new technologies will be made known. Disease and illnesses will be healed and eliminated. The dormant DNA of the human being will be unlocked, and powers and possibilities will be realized. The separation of wheat and chaff will take place. Those who are not able to adapt to this new reality will stay in a timeline more suitable for them, while those who are open and are able to adapt in this new way of life, the gates of heaven will be open for them. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope you learned something, and I hope that the message that I have made in this video will inspire or guide or keep you grounded on whatever negative things that might happen during the following days. This is Starseed Yutara, and thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you again on my next videos.